Hey everyone, so really quickly, I just wanted to show you all how I have fun with Manus. And so one of the things I decided to build out was my own app just because it would just be so much money. We have around 25 to 30 independent contractors. Imagine using an app that was like, you gotta pay us $20 per person per month. You could easily see how that raises in prices tremendously. And so your girl Tasha was like, okay, why don't I just create it? Why don't I just build my own app? And so definitely went into Lovable and started creating an app that I wanted us to use and have. And just to give some people inspiration, you could actually go on places like Behance. You could look at different other different UI UX design. What I was typing in a lot was, time app design, mobile, and just typing in these different things. So I was like, okay, how do I find these apps? What does it look like? And then really feedback is an important thing. So let me show you my app and what we value. So this is what we value. We expand access to Archery by delivering structured programs that help youth and adults build focus, confidence, and leadership. These are some of the schools we have. We also stand on we empower one another. And so this is definitely shown in the app so that people will realize like what we're about, what we stand for, because the independent contractors are coming in and out. There's different schedules, so people could pick their open assignments, what they're interested in, what they're not interested in. Even when you go home and, it talks to them about this needs your attention. And then you definitely have to figure out and think about that this is going to be smaller. So this is actually responsive design, y'all, responsive design, and it is smaller. And so with the calendar, let's say you clicked on this date, confirmed, or you could click on other dates to see what's open, what's not. And so if I wanted to do this one, I just raised my hand. And then let's say I wanted to design this differently. So on-site equipment, we have a couple of equipment. All I could do is I could take a snapshot of this and then share this in Manus and then ask it to redesign it for me. So I would be like, hey, please redesign, please. I know you have to say please, but please give me some other design ideas. And so Manus would do what it does. And then I'm looking at like, okay, what does it look like when someone's schedule is open? What about pay? Like, how do people submit their pay? What would this look like? So how to make it as simple as possible for them to log their hours and then submit their hours. How to make sure that they're able to see the different hours that they submit if they do different programming. Feedback. What does the feedback look like? What does it look like, for in your settings, right? To make sure that you're sharing who you are and what you do. And then if someone has like you're on shift, they'll know that they're on shift. So yeah, definitely keep on looking at this. I'm using Manus currently. There are tons of other tools that gives you creative inspiration. And then to stay out of like, oh, this looks like it was created with AI, because people are mass producing in different ways. The other way that you could do it is just look for, like I said, inspiration, ideas. You could say like, I like this part and take a snapshot of that and then say, I like this part, and then put both of those together. And so lastly, with Manus, it's still working, but as you can see, you had different layouts. Which layout did I want? Which layout did I look at? Even with the open assignments, I'm still looking at what might be the best way. So y'all might be like, Tasha, the open assignments look funny, right? Look blurry. And then you might be like, hey, let's pick another design. Lastly, and I think what we're learning more and more is that feedback in any tool you create is just so important. So one of the things that's just earlier on is, what feedback do you have? A feature idea, a design, a bug, other. It's really encouraging others to join the journey of building this app to make sure that all works out. And if you want to know how much credits I use any given month, it's 1,700. So the plan I have is like, I do pay like 500 a month on what I use. I think it's a little bit more than that. And then, and that's 1,700 on like Lovable. And then on Manus, I pay a little bit less. Maybe it's $30 a month or 40. But again, sometimes you just need the inspiration. So, and it's an internal tool. It's not going to be a tool out in the universe. It actually is something that, get my creative mind built around. And so I'm going to continue trying to like figure out how these different tools work and then put them out and then test them out and keep on going, because there's a need for me and for my archery business to have that structure. All right. Hope you liked it. Have a great day. And then I'll try to put this, and I guess we could wait for it. I could try to put it down in the chat. Another thing that's just very important as we do this work is scale, and how do we scale up? So even in the app, one of the things I could do when I go into plan, because it uses one credit, you could usually see a credit that's used here. But let's say I'm like, hey, we're going to hire someone else to also help, check over the invoices. And then it's going to bubble up into the HR lead. How do we set this up in the tool? And then we could have that set it up. So we're talking back and forth with the tool. And then a lot of times what you see happen is the other part that I'm not going to get into, but GitHub is actually where people post their code. They want to make sure that it pushes up into story, just in case you want to dive in there to get things done, or someone else you're going to hire to dive in there to get stuff done. It's probably going to ask me for a couple of things. So most likely, we're not signing in. But yeah, GitHub is definitely the thing that I'm using. And then even for my new product, Pocket Vendor Hub. And then when I had We Intervene, I also had my tech team push up into there. So that's how you make sure that the code, yes, it's on Lovable, and that's great. But then also what you're seeing is I have a backup from my GitHub. All right, so let's scroll down to see what they have designed. I know the last thing that they did was my pay. So we were trying to make it look friendly. And even like I said, when I went into here, what should a new reviewers be able to do? Invoice reviewer only, first approved hours, but final approved payment still goes to HR lead. So I like that. Full HR assistant, same permission as HR, compliance, but no to approve as a second HR person. No. We can review, reject notes, or find the HR lead can review approved items to finalize. Yeah, I think 1 and 2, 3 sounds the same. So I'll be like, reviewer can approve, reject with notes, or five. To care of review approved items to finalize. I guess. How should items move between the reviewer and the HR lead? Submit, reviewed, approved, review approves, HR is notified. Yeah, so we gotta think deeply about this, because also people could invoice when they would like. Review approved, HR is notified. Coach submits. Okay, yeah. If they submit a block, programs are both. Income coach. Program. So it makes you think, right? Like it makes you think, and then they're gonna say something, and then I'm gonna say something, and then I'm gonna go back, and then I'm gonna probably deploy it, and then I'm gonna be like, oh, this doesn't work out. Okay, team, let's see what they came up with. So they redid this for me as shared. There was one way that they did it. They also did it this way. Set up direct service breakdown, because we get there an hour early to set up. Then it's direct service, and then we break down. and they have on-site equipment. So all of these are ways that we can navigate. And again, you take inspiration from the apps you use. You take inspiration from tons of things. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks.